People don't really understand why it is that Charles, for instance, wore a Greek tie during the Elgin marbles controversy. I don't really understand why another cause dear to this channel's heart, which is, real scrutiny of net zero policies. Where is Prince William this week? He's in Brazil. He is in the sort of global heartland of net zero politics at COP30.
He is the Prince of Wales. He's not the King, and the King has shut up on these subjects since he's become King. He's playing a proper constitutional role.
I think that what I would like to get across to viewers is that should there be the populist government that I think most of them would like to see, a government with a popular mandate that really seeks to smash convention and change this country. I don't like the word Republican, and I do not look at France and feel particularly envious of their situation, nor do I look at Germany and feel particularly envious of their situation. I think that the Windsors have started to reach the end of the road.
All right. Hold on a second. Did you catch that? Even GB News, the network, often seen as the royal family's unofficial press arm, just aired a guest calling the monarchy rotten at its core. That's not a throwaway comment. That's a serious crack in a wall that's been fortified by the British press for generations. When a channel that routinely shields the royals suddenly allows a guest to question the institution itself, it signals something is shifting in the establishment. And right as that shift begins, Prince William jets off to Brazil to speak about climate change. At a conference sponsored by airlines. You honestly couldn't script a better example of irony. He steps off the plane surrounded by exhaust fumes to lecture the world about going green. That's not leadership, it's theatre. A carefully choreographed royal version of environmental activism. And the saddest part? The palace doesn't even notice how contradictory it's become. Let's unpack this properly. William's in Brazil promoting his big project, the Earthshot Prize. He calls it his life's work, designed to help heal the planet. In theory, that sounds admirable. But in practice? It's 1 part environmental mission, 9 parts image management. The whole affair feels more like a red carpet campaign than a sustainability summit. Everything about it screams optics over action, private jets, a large entourage, lavish dinners labelled as green innovation. It all feels staged, a glossy attempt to make William look like a modern global leader. But every flash of a camera just reminds people of the carbon cost behind the message. And let's be clear, Brazil wasn't chosen at random. It's the epicenter of global environmental politics, the Amazon, COP30, net zero targets. William's appearance there was meant to position him as a statesman, a climate champion. But the illusion unravelled the second he stepped off that private jet. How do you talk about emissions when your own lifestyle emits more than most towns? How do you promote moderation while living off royal privilege funded by taxpayers? Even GB News couldn't ignore it. Their guest, journalist Will Lloyd, put it bluntly. I can't understand why the Prince of Wales is in Brazil, the heart of global climate policy. The disbelief was palpable. Because people do care about climate issues, they're just tired of being preached to by those who won't practice what they preach. And that, right there, exposes the monarchy's biggest weakness. They crave the appearance of being relatable and responsible, but every move betrays entitlement. You can't play the eco-warrior when you live across multiple estates, drive gas guzzlers and fly private to every event. That's not activism. That's marketing, plain and simple. And instead of earning respect, it reveals what the public is starting to say openly. The monarchy's mission isn't service, it's survival. Every new initiative feels like another branding exercise to keep the institution relevant. Look at the pattern. King Charles, dubbed the Green King, constantly promotes sustainability while hopping between engagements by helicopter. Or William and Kate's Caribbean tour, multiple flights, awkward photo ops, public protests about colonial optics, and then blaming photographers for the backlash. It's the same cycle every time. The message sounds good, but the actions tell another story. And here's the real kicker: when Harry or Meghan do anything remotely similar, the tabloids lose their minds. Front pages explode with eco-hypocrisy headlines. But when William does it, it's repackaged as visionary leadership. The same behaviour, two completely different narratives. Because the British press doesn't report fairly, it protects the system that feeds it. No wonder people are tired. And that's why that GB News moment mattered. It wasn't just casual criticism. It was a rare moment of honesty from within an establishment mouthpiece. Will Lloyd didn't just call the trip empty, he said the entire institution was rotten to the core. That's not tabloid drama. That's a major indictment. He even pointed out that King Charles, once passionate about environmentalism, has fallen silent now, more ceremonial than influential. And as for William, Lloyd described him as unprepared and uninformed, a man who hasn't even studied his constitutional duties. It's harsh, but it hits the mark. Because the truth is, the monarchy is directionless and increasingly out of step with modern values. So when the Brazil trip flopped, it wasn't just bad PR, it was symbolic. It exposed how detached the royal family has become from real leadership. It wasn't a mission to protect the planet, it was an effort to protect the royal brand. After months of dwindling popularity and global criticism, the palace needed something shiny to distract. Instead, it reminded everyone that image is all they have left. In 2025, the public isn't fooled by well-rehearsed speeches anymore. People crave authenticity. They can sense hypocrisy instantly. You can't talk about saving the earth while sipping champagne in designer suits surrounded by corporate sponsors. That's not leadership, that's show business. Now, compare that to Harry and Meghan. While William was posing in Brazil, Harry was in Canada with Invictus veterans listening, supporting and amplifying real stories. No press circus, no glitz, just substance. And Meghan? She's continued supporting sustainable fashion, ethical businesses and women-led initiatives quietly, without needing cameras around. Harry's environmental advocacy predates all this royal PR talk. His work with African parks protects wildlife and empowers local communities through sustainable jobs. That's the difference. He walks the talk. They offset their travel, they stay consistent with their causes, and they don't exploit their platform, they use it responsibly. Yet the UK tabloids twist everything they do. If Meghan plants trees, it's a publicity stunt. If Harry visits conservation areas, it's a luxury safari. But if William does it? Suddenly it's global inspiration. The hypocrisy couldn't be clearer. The press exists to preserve the palace, not the truth. That's why Harry and Meghan's independence is so powerful. They've proven you can live your purpose without palace machinery or taxpayer funding. They built their own legacy based on principles, not privilege. And that terrifies the establishment, because it exposes the monarchy's greatest fear. Without the institution, who are they? The royals want to appear modern, but their actions highlight how stuck in time they are. They preach equality while built on inherited hierarchy. They champion sustainability while living extravagantly. They speak of morality while ignoring scandals. The whole system runs on outdated optics, not genuine reform. That's why Rotten to the Core hit so hard it summed up more than one man's opinion. It described a culture built on image over integrity, appearance over authenticity, And William's Brazil performance was the perfect example, activism as theatre. Meanwhile, Harry and Meghan keep proving that meaningful service doesn't require a crown. They collaborate directly with communities, non-profits and change-makers making real impact. They embody what modern royalty could be: empathy in action. That's why, no matter how many smear stories appear, their credibility keeps rising globally. Let's face it, the monarchy's burning through its reputation faster than jet fuel. Each photo op, each tour, each mission widens the gap between image and truth. If they truly wanted to modernize, they'd live the values they promote. Downsize, simplify, practice what they preach. But they can't, because the system thrives on extravagance. Maybe this really is the beginning of the end. Because it's no longer just about a failed trip. It's about an institution losing its place in a world that's moved on. The palace is stuck playing 20th century PR games in a 21st century age of transparency. And people simply aren't buying the act anymore. Meanwhile, the Sussexes have stepped beyond all that noise. They're showing what leadership looks like when it's grounded in empathy and accountability. They're building legacies, not photo opportunities. No titles required, no stagecraft necessary, so let's call it what it was. William's trip to Brazil wasn't a climate victory, it was a PR performance disguised as purpose. A glossy illusion that collapsed under scrutiny. Even the royals' own friendly media noticed. And that says everything about how fragile the facade has become. If the monarchy truly wants to remain relevant, it needs to embody the principles it preaches, not just perform them. Otherwise, it'll keep burning through credibility until nothing remains but smoke. And maybe that's the perfect metaphor for the modern royal institution, running on the fading fumes of what it used to be. So, what do you think? Was William's Brazil trip genuine climate advocacy, or just another palace PR move in disguise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and remember, on this channel we say what the mainstream UK media won't. See you in the next one. Bye.